Hello, welcome. I'm Meredith McCarthy, and I've been doing this talk time for over a year, and I thought I would talk about what it's like to be a hypnotherapist and just share some highlights, I guess. So come along for today's journey. Hopefully, it'll be interesting for you if you've been thinking about coming into a career, what it's like to be a hypnotherapist. Hopefully, today I answer some of your questions. The first thing that pops into my mind when I think about becoming a clinical hypnotherapist is how rewarding it is. And I mean that in the way of you get to see firsthand people transform from being scared to being empowered. That is a big part of what I end up seeing with my clients that seek help. A lot of people come in for different reasons. So the other thing that I like about being a hypnotherapist is the eclectic nature of who I'm working with and what I'm working with. So one part of your day, you might be dealing with a child who is having problems with self-esteem and maybe has gone through bullying. Another part of your day, you might be dealing with someone who wants to quit smoking. Another part of your day, you're dealing with someone who has a debilitating phobia of getting on a plane and flying anywhere. It's so varied and interesting. I think that's what I love most about being a hypnotherapist. Um, the other thing is too, you don't always know who's coming in. So I have an online booking system and anyone can turn up. Um, and I don't always know what they're actually wanting help with. Some people email me beforehand and ask me questions, but a lot of times they just book online and I go out into my waiting area and we start there. And it's like unpacking in the nicest possible way. I'm very curious about what's been going on for people. And I think as a hypnotherapist, it's grown my curiosity. What's really going on here? It's not always a straight line to understanding what's been going on. Sometimes we take twists and turns to get a deeper understanding of what's really going on for that client. Every time I get into a session, I think my inner optimist comes out to play. I'm very much a cheerleader for people. So I have this positive regard for all of my clients, and I believe that they have the answer. I think that is an important therapeutic perspective to foster. I'm not in there to meddle into their world. I'm in there to ask questions that might challenge perhaps their story of belief and get them to think about things from another perspective. But it's not necessarily my perspective. Although I might share a perspective, it doesn't mean that they have to take that perspective on. I love to, I guess, challenge people's beliefs because I think as soon as you start doing that, it starts to support change. So every time you ask a question, you're stimulating neural pathways within that client's mind. They're starting to think about it, process it, and new thought forms are forming. And that new thought train can be extremely important, I think, to travel from where they've been to where they want to be. Okay, so if we think about someone who comes in, what pops into my mind is I had a woman who had a fear of vomiting. Okay, so she had a number of events when she was younger where someone vomited next to her in school assembly, and then another time where she was actually vomited on a plane by her sister. So she had two very, very big events at a very young age, and it sort of started this effect for her about dreading going into situations where now she's all grown up. It was really holding her back from being able to live life comfortably without anxiety. So it was causing anxiety all the time, looking on the lookout for situations where we might feel trapped or not in control. Now, this particular person had been to counselling and had done EMDR. Anyway, that's a technique that people use often to help process trauma. And for her, actually magnified it. So when I started working with her, we started to do, I guess, a connection to those younger versions of ourselves having those experiences. But I established a safe place that she could bring those younger selves to talk about, I guess, what she wants in the future. So those younger selves and the her that she is now and her future self could work together to form a beginning of something different. Anyway, after 50 odd minutes of hypnosis, she came out of that going, wow, I didn't expect that. And the change was quite real. She was able to get support from her future self, the future self that was thriving and had resolved it. And it was quite amazing to sit back and watch the wisdom coming from that future and supporting her younger selves, including herself now. So by the time we ended that hypnosis, she felt quite differently about everything. She had been able to seed a feeling of confidence and strength and calm. And that was really big for her. That was a breakthrough. So even in one session, this is how we can work with clients. And I think unless you've been to a hypnotherapist or you've learned hypnotherapy and you can sort of see how quickly things can change, a lot of people doubt it because you've got a lot of modalities out there that take weeks and weeks, months and months, years and years, talking about things and not coming to a resolution, not being able to help that client overcome whatever it is that they're fearful of. And to think that after an hour of hypnosis, the client can break the shackles of that fear is rather big. And, there's a lot of things about false claims or sort of saying things, again, that you can't prove. But I'm telling you now, after 30 odd years of working with people, that's what I see. That's what I see every day, is this rapid and amazing, deep change that changes the way someone's been feeling really quickly. A lot of my clients are quite shocked at how quickly things do change. That is definitely a part of it. Not everyone is that quick. Let's just say that, though. There are going to be some clients that take a little bit longer to journey through and break the shackles of fears and phobias. But to get action, to sort of see someone come out the other side, is really quite exciting for me. So that is a big part of what a clinical hypnotherapist does, is sort of help a person in an impossible situation overcome whatever it is and really invite their own inner optimist out to play in that process of change. Hypnotherapy is, I think, quite magical. It helps a person access the subconscious part, the part that runs all the programs, and to tweak and change what's going on. A lot of times people think it's just rubbish. That they think, the most common thing I get asked. I know people are probably joking, but, would you make me cluck like a chicken? And my response usually is, if you would like to do that. But, the the stage hypnosis has tainted people into thinking it's a sideshow, not a proper therapy. And hypnotherapy, even in some parts of the world, you're not allowed to call yourself a hypnotherapist. You have to say, I'm a hypnotist, because they don't want to join the therapist part into the hypnotist part, which I think is quite interesting. So there's a lot of politics that go around, maybe protecting the turf, I don't know. But for me, in New Zealand, we're allowed to be called hypnotherapists, clinical hypnotherapists, which is my title. So I'm a clinical hypnotherapist. I'm registered through the New Zealand Association of Professional Hypnotherapists. And there are guidelines, ethics, a constitution. There is a complaints process in my association. It's a legal beagle, you know. It comes under self-regulatory in New Zealand, not a regulatory body, the NZAPH or any other associations, which is interesting. But aligning myself with the NZAPH as a professional, I think is really, really important to say, yes, I take my career seriously. I have an indemnity and liability insurance. The two places that I use my clinics from, so this is one of my offices, and I've got another office space in Petone. And you have to have public liability insurance and things. So, you know, to be fully insured and to take this profession seriously, I don't have a clinic from home. I never have. I don't like the idea of people turning up that I don't know, knowing where I live and things like that. It just doesn't feel right. So I've always had a clinic space in Wellington Central and also out the hut in Lower Hut and Upper Hut. I used to do meditation circles in Upper Hut as well, but there weren't many people turning up, and I thought, okay, we'll just stick with Lower Hut and Wellington Central as my two clinic spaces. So I'm only in Petone for a half day on a Monday, and I'm in Wellington Central from Tuesday to Friday. So I have a full week. On that note, what I do find interesting is a lot of hypnotherapists work evenings and weekends, like it's not a proper career for some reason. Maybe they've still got a full-time career on top of that. I don't know. But I work in the week, Monday to Friday, in normal standard working hours. I do have a late night because there are genuinely some people who can't make it earlier. They might have childcare issues and things, and they need a partner to look after their children, or they do have long work schedules and they can only get to me in that late evening spot. But working in the weekends, it just sort of steals time away from family and friends. And I think work-life balance is really important. If you're going to be in that place where you're promoting wellness and holistic sort of living, I think you need to look at your own career and how you journey and how you set up your world and time your day. Now, everyone is a work in progress, by the way. So, we're all sort of maintaining the garden, if you like. But I do think, I wish for this career for people who are becoming clinical hypnotherapists to think about it as something that they could do full time within normal standard working hours, and really enjoy it. You don't have to see hundreds of clients every week. A handful of genuine people that you want to work with is ample to make a good living. So when we're looking at training to become a hypnotherapist, if you are interested in this field, I do have a journey that I take people on. It's a diploma course. 1,000 hours. It may seem like a lot, but it's well worth it, to help you learn the art of becoming a clinical hypnotherapist. So I hope you found today's talk time interesting. If you did, it'd be really nice if you could comment or like or something, so I know that this is hitting the spot out there. I thought I'd just come on and just be sharing, I guess, what's on top, because I do think about this career as being a gift for me. It's a calling. It's not just a job. It fills me with joy. And when I'm not busy, which, happens, I'm like, I'm a bit sad because I'm not getting to help the people that I want to help during that day. I do get up to a whole lot of other things, of course, when I'm not that busy. I paint as well. I am an artist, and I'm working on a solo exhibition that I'll have next year. So, lots of things to keep me occupied. And again, that's about that work-life balance. It's looking at, how do I want to live my life that makes me feel joy every day? And it's tuning into that and being honest about that. And for me, being able to help people and be creative are two things that I must have within my daily life, if you like. It's very fulfilling. So anyway, hope you'll join me next week for our next talk time. I have no idea what I'm going to talk about, but by the time I get there, I'm sure I'll have worked it out. So if you want to find out more about a career in clinical hypnotherapy, you can visit nzach.ac.nz for more information. So hope to see you next week. Bye.